WeSERVE Cares provides a series of services to help remediate the long-lasting effects of COVID-19 through its monthly drive through the food pantry. They provide a disconnection prevention assistance program, helping families keep their utilities on, and the newly launched Backpack Buddy program, which provides food to students in need while home on the weekends. All workshops covering areas that many can benefit through personal development, financial literacy, and employment readiness. I am Andre Powell of AMP Speaks, and we have partnered with WeSERVE to bring you today's employment readiness topic. So, last week or last month, you joined us for the Competent Communicator Level 2. Today, we're going to focus on unlocking your goal-setting skills. And so, I thank you all for tuning in again. As mentioned, I am Andre Powell of AMP Speaks, and I look forward to sharing with you all on this morning. So, let me pull up my screen and we'll get everything kicked off. Share. All right, so I hope that you're ready. We're talking about charting your success, the art of goal setting. So let's get started. What is a goal? Or better yet, let's get even before then. Where might goals come from? Where might goals start? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed to get from one point in what you were doing to another point? How did you do it? You probably set some markers, some milestones to kind of figure out, well, what do I need to do in order to accomplish this? Or what has to be done in order for me to accomplish this? And then you're probably thinking, well, wait, hold up. Andre, why are we talking about goal setting? Isn't this focus employment readiness? And while it is, it's also important to have a goal, some goals set to get where you want to get to when it comes to being employment ready, right? You have to have some vision, some goals, some desire, some drive to get to that profession that you're trying to get to, right? So this part is going to be focused primarily on goals. And so let's kind of dive into it a little bit. What's the goal? Goals are defined simply this: specific measurable objective or desired outcomes that individuals or organizations aim to achieve within a specific time frame to get serves as targets and benchmarks to guide to actions, motivate efforts, and provide clear direction towards a desired result. So in layman's terms, or how I would put it, a goal is something that gives you the opportunity to move to something else. So you set up a goal as to this is where we're trying to get to. You put that goal together, boom, and it gets you to that final destination. As you complete that goal, you should reach where you're trying to get to, okay? So as we're dealing in goals, we're gonna hit on a few types of goals. Now, many of us know about our personal goals. We set personal goals well, look, let's be honest, the new year is right around the corner. So many of us some of us will set some New Year's resolutions. And those are ultimately goals that we're setting for the new year. So many of those are personal goals. At the beginning, that's just kind of those focuses. The personal growth area, we'll find that spiritual growth area, things that we know, the knowledges, the experiences that we want to have, that we're doing more on a personal standard for ourselves. We're going to look at building those personal type goals. And so if you're trying to, say, buy a house, right? That's a personal goal for you. You want to buy a house. You're going to line up some things, line up some goals, line up some benchmarks to get to that point of buying a house, right? You want to make sure that your financials are in order. You want to make sure that you can get a loan, you're approved for a loan. You make sure that you take time looking at homes, because in order to buy a home, you got to look at some first, right? So you'll set those personal goals so that you can achieve that final vision, if you will. And we're going to hit on vision too, because you're like, wait, you just threw vision in there when it comes to goals. We're going to get to that as well. With the personal goals, they are all about you. Now, they may affect other people as well, but they are primarily focused on you. They're personal. They make sense to who you are, what you're trying to accomplish in yourself. You want to be a better dad, right? You're going to find out those things and set up those goals that help you become a better dad. One thing, you can spend more time with your kids. You're setting up those goals. How do you set those up? But you also, we're going to dive really deep into the goals, and there's a methodology that we're going to talk to as well. And so, on goal setting will set you up for failure. You're running by the seat of your pants. You dive into professional goals. These are the goals that are set up for you in your profession. What is your career? What do you want to do? If you're trying to work, we want to make sure that the goals align with one, not only yourself, but the industry. What's going on in the industry? So you have to take your time out to understand what's going on in the industry as well. So your goals. The short-term goals, we say 1 to 2 years and at max. Everything below that, depending on the task or the type, we want to set those at 2 years max. Anything below that, we can work out, and those will still be considered short-term goals, but they might have a different emphasis or a different focus. The long-term goals, think about looking out beyond the 3-year mark, beyond the 5-year mark, those 10-year places where you're trying to get to, and they all come up with one piece that if you have it, it's easier to set long-term goals. When you know kind of where you want to go or where you're trying to get to, it is easier to set up those long-term goals that get you to those markers, and you're able to check out what you're doing. All right. So as we focus on these short-term and long-term goals, as we focus on these professional goals, we want to give you the tools to really help you focus on making them in such a way that you are encouraged to keep on chasing after them. All right. So we got vision. Got vision. What could that possibly mean? I know I can see. We all know that we can see what's before us. And so my question is very simple. It's like, do you have vision beyond what you're seeing right now? Right now, you might be in a situation where you don't have a job. But do you see yourself having a job later on? Or have you just kind of given up hope, thrown in the towel, and you said, this is all of what we're going to be, and we're gonna settle for not having a job? You're here because you desire to be employed, or you desire to enhance your employment, or moving to that next level. That's why you stepped in to check out this session today. So you have some vision. Now, vision is defined simply as a manifestation of your senses of something immaterial. Think about it this way. Your vision comes based off of what goes on in your mind. As you're breaking things down, as you are focused on what you're trying to accomplish, there is a vision that drives what you're trying to accomplish. And if it's driving what you're trying to accomplish, it has to be somewhat solidified. It has to be understandable. That vision comes from the imagination of what is possible for your life. And so that is one of the big things. It is important, it is vital that you have a vision to move forward towards. Because if there's no vision, people perish, yourself included. If you don't have a vision for where you're trying to go, or where you need to go in life, or where you're desiring to go, if there is no vision, how can you set up goals to get there? If there is no vision, how can you encourage somebody else to catch on to your vision and move forward? It's one of those things. How can you be an entrepreneur if you don't have the vision to go before you and give it to other people and share it with other people? You can't. There's nothing to work on. You might see an idea of somebody said, hey, I did A, I did B, I did C, and got to D. And you see the benefits of D, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna just get to D. But if there's no vision for what D is supposed to look like, or this company or this job, if there is no vision on you being in there, if you can't truly see yourself there, then how are you going to get there? How can you break it down? How can you truly find goals and make things reachable to get there? So when it comes to your vision is vital to this entire process. And here's why. You're going to need something that is clarified. Your vision is important to it because you can't set goals on other people's visions. You could, but how is that benefiting you? If your vision is to make everybody else's vision a success. Okay, that's good and all. Other people are benefiting from your hard work and but what about you? Do you not see yourself going past where you are currently? Or are you just satisfied doing the bare minimum? And so that's kind of the challenge. We find ourselves at times getting into situations where we are okay with working somebody else's vision for a time. But then when we don't get that full fulfillment in it, then we're like, well, why am I not fulfilled? Why am I not so enthusiastic to do this work anymore? What has happened? What has changed? Sometimes because we lose sight of the vision that we have, that has been made for us, that we're supposed to be moving in front of, that dream that you thought about day in and day out. When you lose vision of that dream, everything just starts kind of falling apart and not making sense. And so with that vision, I want to make sure that it's clear. It is clear, it is clarified, it's understandable. You know, when you're talking to someone else, you can talk about your vision all day that has been given you, and without fail, you can walk and operate in it. So if it's clarity that you need, stop, pray about it, think about it. Talk to other people that are in that field or in that arena where you're trying to get to, where you're trying to understand as you're trying to shape the vision that has been given to you and understanding it, right? Part of this whole clarifying piece is you have to understand what it means for yourself. Why is this vision so important to you? How does the gifts and the talents that you have align with this vision? How do you move forward from it? And then write it down so that you're remembering it. As you're clarifying it, you're writing it down so that you can look at it and, when it doesn't fit, well, let's rewrite it. Write it down again. These things allow you to bring up that vision in your mind so that you know where you're moving forward to. And then the size of the vision. The size of the vision, if you only see you benefiting from the vision, your vision is too small. If you only see you and your family benefiting from the vision, your vision is still too small. If you see others, the world being changed, lives being impacted by the vision that is in your life, your vision is running more along the lines of why it was intended to be. So all of these things are needed for your vision to truly be successful so that you can effectively set up these goals that we're talking about. So as we're really diving into these goal setting skills and sets, we want you to make sure that you have a vision. Know why you need goals. Know why you're moving forward to something. You've taken the time to clarify it and understand it in yourself. You've taken time to write it down so that you can remind yourself of it daily, so that you can make sure that you're refining it. Make sure that when you're sharing with other mentors that you have, that it's understandable. It's easy to understand, and others can run. If you've written it down and they can read it and it's clear and clarified, you can move forward in it. And then that size. If it's only you and yours benefiting from that vision, it's probably too small. All right. So as we continue on, let's get professional. Let's talk about those professional goals. I guess my biggest question for you is, where do you see yourself going? What's your dream job? I like to start there when I'm talking to people, because some of us don't know what our dream job is. Or some of us have a dream job, but we haven't really spent a lot of time and focus on what it is to get it done or get it accomplished. What is that dream job? Take a second. I'll give you 30 seconds to take a second and just write down what your dream job is. Excuse me. All right. Keep writing, keep thinking about it. And then if it isn't solidified in your mind, maybe you have a few options that you have in your mind that will be dream jobs. Maybe you don't just have one, but you want to do 2 or 3 things in your career that says, oh, those are my dream jobs, right? I could do these all day and never get bored, never get tired, and would find full fulfillment in those. All right, so take a few seconds and write those down. All right, so now that we've written those dream jobs down, now that we've taken a second to kind of put our minds into that reference point, our dream job is where our focus is going to be moved to, right? Because before you might have been focused in getting a promotion in the current job, right? Some of us, that's why we're here. Well, we want to be promoted. We're looking for opportunities to advance in our career. And for those, some of our focus is, I just need to get a job at this moment, right? My dream job has to be put on hold because I just need to get a job. And so even in that professional realm, what does that mean for right now? Where is my focus? If your focus is to just get a job, then definitely you'll want to have checked out the resume writing session as well as the interview prep session as well that we did a few months back. It's available as well. You want to check those out so that you can get yourself prepared. Make sure that you're finding those jobs. But this is going to be important for you as well, because you want to position yourself in such a way by the types of jobs that you're looking at, right? That's where your focus is. I want to have a job. So what am I going to do? Where do my skills align? Where do I want to go in my career? If you already have a job, where do you want to go? If you don't have a job, if you're looking for a new job, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to find yourself going? And that's important, because if you don't know where you're going or where you want to go, how can you set up goals to get there? In looking at your job descriptions, what kind of skills are they needing? You want to work in, say, architecture. You want to be an architect. What kind of skills do you need to be an architect? Well, you might need a drafting class or two. You might need to have gotten some drafting skills from somewhere, right? Maybe an apprenticeship is something that you need because of the role. Maybe working under a master architect or something along those lines. Maybe you need some drawing skills. You need to know how to illustrate what you're thinking or what you're dreaming up. Or maybe you want to be a doctor. What kind of skills would you think you needed as a doctor, right? You might want to go through years and years of school. Okay, so you might need years and years of schooling, but what kind of skills do you need? You need to understand some biology, right? You need to understand some chemistry, depending on the type of doctor you want to be. You need to know how the body works, the organs work, especially if you want to be in specialized. Like if you want to be a neuroscientist or a neurosurgeon, you got to know how the mind works, right? You got to understand how the brain is charged, how things are moving throughout the brain. You got to have those skills. And then what are the milestones? How are you measuring how you're getting to that career, that dream job, that new job? What are the milestones that you need? And that's kind of the focus of goal setting. How do we reach those milestones? How do we know what milestones they are? How do we establish those milestones? Look at the things that are around you as well. Look at the things that are going on in the industry. Look at the people that you're talking to, those that are doing similar careers to you that you're wanting to do. You see others doing those jobs that you want to do. How did they get there? Some research. You've got to do your own homework to understand what types of milestones should you be looking for or should you be working towards. That's all part of this. If we're getting professional, if we're focusing on the career, the job that we're looking at, the dream job that we're trying to get to, then we have to know those milestones that we have to hit to get there. Okay? As we continue, goal SMART. Now, I know some of you may have heard of SMART goals, and that's really what we're going to focus on here and now. That's where we're going with this. We want to focus on those SMART goals, and each of them has their own specific, yes, I said it. They each have their own representation, and specific is what S is. And so as we break down this framework, specific goals should be clear and specific. You can't go anywhere else around that. You're defining precisely what is to be achieved. They answer the question, what do I want to accomplish? Why is the goal important? Who is involved and where does it take place? What resources do I need? Be very specific in your goal setting. Understanding, what I want to accomplish. If nothing else, we have to know why, what we're trying to accomplish. Really? Like, let's be honest. If we aren't going to do those things, or if we don't know what we're trying to accomplish, how can we set a goal? If you don't know that you want to be a lawyer, how do you know that you have to go to law school? Or you just saw it on enough TV shows that that's what you figured. Okay, right? You have to understand what needs to be accomplished and then set the goal around that. It has to be measurable. This is something that for us has to be measurable. You have to understand it. You have to be able to track it. There has to be a way for you to kind of look and see that, oh, okay, we are making headway in this goal. And so that goal has to be measurable. That goal has to, how long is it going to take? Is it going to take years? Is it going to take a certain amount of money? Is it going to take a certain amount of months to get it done? How much? Like that's the bigness of measurable. How much? What is required? How much time? Can you quantify this goal? It is very important to have some way to measure what you're doing so that you can be successful in it. Because if you can't measure it, then you're kind of just running up against a goal that you don't ever really know that you're done until you've determined that you're done. So then wait, if you can't measure it, how do you determine that the goal is finished? So for all of us, being able to measure the goal is important. It has to be achievable. Is it something that can be done by you, or do you have ways of getting it accomplished, regardless of challenges that might come? Is it achievable? Can it actually be accomplished with the resources? And if you don't know the resources per se, right, can you find them? What might the challenges be that might hinder you from accomplishing this goal, right? If you're going to set up a goal, you want to make sure that you can get to that. Whether you have the capabilities yourself or it takes other people to work with you, you want to be able to make sure that it can be done. It is possible. Are relevant. There is so much going on in vision and in the goal setting. The goals have to be relevant with getting to the vision, right? They have to be relevant to where you're trying to get to. Here, an example, poor example, but if you want to be a doctor, I'll use a doctor because it's something that people can automatically assume. You're going to spend a lot of time in school. You're going to do a number of other things. Would you set a goal to go to clown college? No, that doesn't make sense. That's not relevant. Would you set a goal to go to culinary school or have cooked 10 to 15 meals from a cookbook? No, that doesn't make sense to where you're trying to get to. You might find yourself in a candy striper situation if you're trying to be a doctor, so that you can get to know that bedside manner, so you can get to know and understand patients. You might find yourself in a fellowship with other people that are trying to be doctors. Things like that, goals like that make sense to where you are trying to get to. What is the value that this goal brings to getting towards the vision? If the value is, oh, I'm just going to be a more well-rounded person, that's okay at times, but it's not something that is relevant to where you're trying to get to. And let's be honest, being well-rounded is beneficial everywhere because it gives you an opportunity to understand people differently, but that's not necessarily relevant to the goal that you're trying to reach. So make sure that it's relevant, that it makes sense, that aligns with everything that you're trying to do and accomplish to get to that final vision, that final purpose, that final check mark, if you will, that final job that you're looking to get to. And then set some time bounds, right? You want to make sure that it makes sense, that it's timely. Give yourself from, if it's a couple weeks based off of how much it takes to get done, do that. If it's a couple days because it's just a task, do that. Set that up. Make sure you set your deadlines. Make sure you're able to track these things so that your goal is you're being efficient in the goals that you're setting. Because we don't want to waste time. I mean, how many of you like to waste time? Yeah, definitely not me. I don't like to waste time. So wasting time means that we probably didn't set up the right constraints on the time. It allows for some of those obstacles that we'll talk about later on in this presentation. But if we are wasting time, then we're not getting things done. We're not getting things accomplished. And when we set these time bounds, we are telling ourselves that we need to focus to get to this deadline so that we can get it done. And so we set those time limits on ourselves to make sure that there is, as the definition says, a sense of urgency. We don't want to waste the time or feel the pressure of the time because we procrastinated up to a certain point and now we're rushing to get it done. If we set the time allowed in some of our goals, some of our short-term as well as long-term goals, we can truly understand and look back at what has been accomplished. And so make sure that each goal that you have has a limit so that when you get to that final date of that time bound, you have either accomplished it, you're very well on having accomplishing it, or even if there was a setback that caused it, make sure that you know within this time, either we've accomplished it or we know why we haven't accomplished it. So as we take those times in this framework, be specific, make sure that the goal is measurable, make sure that it's achievable, make sure it's relevant to where you're trying to go to, and make sure that it has its limits. All right, so I'm tracking. I'm tracking because it reminds me often of some foxhounds that my grandfather had when I was younger. Anytime we were out in the woods and say there was a duck or something that my grandfather was trying to catch, or a rabbit that he was trying to get the trail of, the foxhounds would ultimately pick up the scent and they would keep following it. And you're like, wait, how is that relevant to tracking? For us, tracking our goals is important to the success of accomplishing them. If there's no means of tracking, we could be all over the place trying to do one thing or the other and mess up a lot of things because we haven't taken the time to track what we're doing, tracking the progress, making sure that we're going from one stage to the next stage. It is important that we stay on this one for a second because there are many ways to do this. We want to be just as successful as, my grandfather wanted to be. Like, hey, we were able to find the rabbit and where they were, boom. We ourselves want to get to that final goal completion. And so being able to track it, being able to understand where we're going, being able to see all of our goals together and which hold the priority, which are important and urgent, we ourselves have to set up a system for tracking. One of the things that I like to do, and it can be very vital in all that we're doing when it comes to your goals, is to-do list. Some goals are going to be massive. And in those goals being massive, those long-term goals, they're pretty big, right? And over the course of minimum 3 years, each year you should be, accomplishing things, which means that there are probably going to be some to-do lists within the day, some to-do lists within that month, even in that year, so that you can get to where you're needing to get to in those goals. To-do lists are helpful because they keep you on track in that moment. I have a to-do list that I refresh daily, that I make sure that I get some things that are very important to my day accomplished and taken care of. Now, sometimes I misplace to-do lists and have to remember, but keeping a list of things that need to be accomplished in the week can give you an opportunity to just kind of plan out what you're doing. And so to-do lists for us in this goal setting offers us the opportunity to see, okay, well, we're working on goal one. And in goal one, these things, three things part of goal one can be done. Or maybe we're looking at a long-term goal where there's a number of things that can be done in month one that will help us get things done in month three, but we got to do those things in month one done first, right? Those to-do lists will help you get things done. They'll keep you on track. You'll know, okay, well, in this job hunt, I need to do this. I need to look at up 3 companies that are working in the area of AI because I'm interested in it, right? I need to look up 3 companies, see what types of jobs they are offering, see where my skills line up, and see if there's a contact person that I can reach out and get some more information. So those things we've put on our to-do list. And so from that, you'll go and do your research. And as you're done, you'll check it off. Boom. Oh, I was able to find 3 companies. Boom. Take it off. Oh, I was able to find some skills that I need to have that I don't have, but I also found some skills that are applicable to what I'm doing. Boom. You can knock that off. It keeps you moving forward. It keeps you progressing when you have that to-do list to kind of walk through, but also it takes it out of your mind. So you're not putting so much pressure on yourself to remember everything. That to-do list can be one of the ways to move forward in it. Accountability partners. When it comes to professional development and looking for the right job and applying for the right job, sometimes it can be very discouraging. It can be. Rejection isn't something that is taken so easily, and being rejected hundreds of times, especially in a job hunt, can be downright discouraging to the point where you just don't want to do it anymore. But that's also part of why you bring people that, one, are keeping you accountable to the process, but 2, they are there to help motivate. They're there to encourage. Like, oh, well, for you, you can talk to a certain accountability partner for just the process, just working through the process and accomplishing things. And they are checking on you and vice versa. And you're able to go to them and say, hey, I'm having difficulty in this. And like, oh, well, maybe you're able to bounce ideas off of that accountability partner. That accountability partner is going to help keep you on task with finding those jobs. And depending on who they are and their background, they might be able to send you jobs and roles that are applicable where they are, or something might come across their desk that they can send to you. Because they are accountability partners with you, you can work with that, and it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going forward. Stay motivated / reminders. Staying motivated regardless of rejection, regardless of how much time it might take to do each and every application, making sure that your resume is fine-tuned to the application. All of those things are part of this process, of this goal-setting process. And you have to stay in this. What is your plan? Where are you going? What are you trying to do? You know, are these goals moving you? Are they motivating you? Are they keeping you going? Have you set up reminders to keep yourself reminded? Oh, hey, so-and-so's this goal is due such and such time, or this goal is due in a week or 2. Just keeping yourself reminded. It keeps you, one, focused on getting things done, getting things accomplished. And I want to talk about being overwhelmed, and I'm going to save it for later on, but we don't want you to get overwhelmed. So don't go reminder crazy, but we want you to stay focused on what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish, right? And if you're staying motivated, you'll keep on pressing, you'll keep on moving towards those goals getting accomplished. Be adaptable. Sometimes things change. Sometimes situations change. Sometimes we find ourselves going from one point to another, and over the course of that point A to point B, something changed. Be adaptable. Be okay with changing some of the goals up a little bit to make sure that they're more applicable to what you're doing. Because we can see a goal and set a goal one way. And we know based off of our current situation, that goal is accomplishable by moving forward and doing this. We've set up a time. We've done all of those pieces in that SMART framework to set up this goal to make sense. But something changed in life. Maybe something changed with employment. Maybe something changed. We lost somebody, right? And that changes our goal a little bit. You're like, wait, how could life changes happen? And as those things change, sometimes that adaptability has to change, right? How we adapt to that changes. Or the industry has changed their focus in a certain area. Well, how do I adapt the goal so that I can still be working towards the goal, but it's aligned more to where the industry has moved towards? Well, this position has become more of a melding of multiple positions, but my goal is stuck on this. How can we change this goal a little bit to make it so that it fits more in line with where the position has gone to? And as part of measurability, making sure that there are metrics. As we talked about those quantifiable pieces, you want to be able to see the metrics, see how things are working out for things that are going positive, for things that aren't going so well. How are they measuring up to where you're trying to get to in these goals? It's a rat's nest. Now, I say this kind of jokingly, but when you think about a rat's nest, first off, you're like, man, this can't be positive at all. You think about a mess. You think about everything in one place, one thing going on, another thing going on, 100 things going on all at the same time and all kind of mixed up and messed up, and it just doesn't make sense, right? To you, it may be overwhelming. It may be something that you just can't see your way out of it because you're bogged down by what's going on in this. And I just want to challenge you. It can be downright overwhelming when you feel like something has changed in your goals and you couldn't pivot, right? You couldn't adapt it. But because you see some of them are kind of falling by the wayside or not getting accomplished in the time that you needed them to get accomplished, it becomes overwhelming because you know a number of them are coming up and you haven't completed the ones that you needed to get to the next one. And that starts to weigh on you. And life is still happening. And this job over here is still happening. Trying to get a job is still going on. Bills are due. All these kinds of things can be going on to hold you in an overwhelmed state of mind. But our challenge here is, how do we get from out of that overwhelming feeling? How do we overcome this overwhelming sensation of everything hitting me at once? And sometimes we have to stop, take a second and rewrite some things down, reorganize some things. Some of our goals, we have to reset time limits on them. Some of them we've accomplished, didn't realize we accomplished them because we were working on other pieces and everything was kind of mixing together. We forgot to mark something off as done or completed. Sit down at least once a week and look at your goals. Look at where look at how you're measuring them. Is it warranted that you're measuring it in time and quantity? Or is it that you've measured it in the amount of things accomplished during that time? How are you measuring it? Is it still valid to where you're needing to go? Have you gotten the certificate already that you forgot to just write it down in? Every week, take that second, take an hour, and go through the goals that you have set. How are you accomplishing them? What did you accomplish this week? What didn't you accomplish this week that you are planning on accomplishing? How does that affect the rest of the goals? Take a second, breathe, look at your goals, go over them. Don't get frustrated in that moment. Don't get frustrated. Those things that you wanted to accomplish that week and didn't, write them down. Look at them, then take a moment to step away. Go do something fun for a second. When you come back, See how you can add them back into that map or that agenda or that to-do list of however you're tracking your goals. Bring them back into that fold and make sure that they are following that SMART framework. Make sure that they're specific. You know where you're going. Make sure they're achievable. Make sure they're measurable. Make sure that they're relevant to where you're trying to accomplish, and reset the time parameters if need be. Now, understanding you having goals, there are going to be some people that are going to discourage you or attempt to discourage you. That's why the haters gonna hate is up there. You're like, oh, well, in my goal setting, I shouldn't have any haters. Well, some people don't want to see you accomplish things. And for them, that's okay. Let them deal with them. But for you, understanding that people aren't going to be happy seeing you accomplishing the goals that you set out to accomplish. Get over them. Get over it. Get over them right now. Don't listen to anything that they have to say that will take you away from what you have set before you. Go ahead and accomplish the goals. You have a vision that's bigger than what they've seen, and don't let them tear it down. Don't let them take away from what you're doing, what you're pushing forward in. Hold on to that and keep moving. Let them hate. Let them say, oh, you're never going to accomplish nothing. Let them say it. Keep going forward in it. And if nothing else, let it be fuel for you to keep moving forward. Note some of the challenges that we find ourselves in when it comes to goal setting. Procrastination. Oh, I can hold on till tomorrow, or I can wait until the next day to get to it. It's not that important right now. I'll make sure that I can get to it at some point. Procrastination is one of the biggest things that gets in our way of us accomplishing our goals. Now, outside of the fear of failure, which I talk about a whole lot, because failure is temporary if you don't allow yourself to stay there. Failure is temporary. Your goal with fear of failure is acknowledge that you have a fear. First, acknowledge the fact that you are afraid of failing. And then go and do it anyway. Like I'm a fan of let me fail. Let me fail once so I can learn from it. And if I haven't learned from it, I'm going to fail again, right? Go into every opportunity, every goal, looking to accomplish it. Now, if you fail, it's okay. Give yourself a break. Failing isn't the end, but you've got to pull yourself out of that. You've got to not stay there in that failure. Learn from it and move forward. If you haven't learned from it, if you didn't understand why you failed, talk to somebody who might have been in the same situation as you. Let them help you understand why you might have failed. Maybe you're overlooking something because you're so close to that failure in that moment. Or maybe you're still beating yourself up for a failure that happened years and years before right now, and you're still trying to accomplish goals, but you failed and you haven't given yourself the opportunity to understand that that failure was temporary. Move past it and move forward. And what you can do, it's okay to fail. Just don't stay there. Just don't let it run your life. Pick yourself up, learn what you can from it, and move forward. And sometimes it's just that lack of motivation. I can't get motivated to get out of bed today. I just don't feel like it. It happens to the best of us sometimes. Sometimes we're just tired, or we're not really motivated to do anything for that day. But we have goals and things that we have set up that we need to accomplish. We need to get accomplished. Find those things that are important to you, that motivate you, those reasons, jumping into why am I doing this? Why? Who is it affecting if I don't stay the course, if I don't stay motivated and moving forward? Who is it affecting? Most often in our selfish view of things, we figure, oh, I'm not motivated today. It only affects me. It only affects me right now. But if we look a little bit deeper, if we stop where we are because we're just so unmotivated, we forget about all the people that we were intending to help. We forget about sometimes our family members who are looking for us to do some of the goals that we have established. Sometimes that lack of motivation will keep you from seeing the truth about you almost being done with something. And then lastly, we have that opportunity to overcome setbacks. Setbacks are commonplace. No matter where we find ourselves, setbacks happen. And they are just that, setbacks, where you might have to take a step back as well and understand why that setback happened. Did we not account for it? And if we did account for it, how is it still setting us back? Or sometimes it's other people. We are relying on other people to get something done so that our goal can move forward. My challenge in that for you is, how can you make sure that everything else around it is done so that if that person should fail or not meet that marker, how can you still accomplish the goal? Do you have somebody else in the wings that can accomplish the goal? Do you know what that other person is dealing with? Are they accountability partners with you? How can you understand that setback the more, and how can it be resolved? Sometimes we can find ourselves with setbacks that are completely out of our control. We did everything that we were supposed to do, but somebody else failed. A failure is just that, it's temporary. Move forward. How do you figure your way out of it? You discuss why it failed. You figure out reasons behind that setback, and then you plan for it better next time. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. Don't let the setbacks keep coming and you're ready to give up. That's not how we do it. That's not how you're supposed to do it. Get out of that rat's nest. Get out of all of that confusion. Take time to breathe. Know that some people don't want to see you succeed. That's okay. Stop procrastinating. Stop putting it off until tomorrow, which you can get done today. Especially if you know it's on your list to get done today, get it done. Failures are going to happen. It is okay to fail. Better yet, I give you permission to fail. Fail as many times as you need, as long as you don't give up. And if you're not motivated, think about your why. Think about why you need to get things done, why you need to get this accomplished, why you need to move forward in getting these goals done. And those setbacks, don't let them keep you back any longer. Understand the setback, understand why it's a setback. You've done everything that you were supposed to do around it. How can you navigate through that setback? One of my favorite things about goal setting, both long-term and short-term, is that opportunity to celebrate. We've put in all the work. We've done what we needed to do. It's time to celebrate. Whoa, yes, get excited, get excited. Yes, get excited. I mean, you don't want to go to a celebration like this, yay. No, get loud with it, get woo, give yourself a pat on the back, all of those things. Let's celebrate encompasses everything, big or small, celebrate. A win is a win, is a win. It's a win. No matter how big or how small it is a win. No matter the obstacles that you got through to get there, it is a win. When you are able to check off that that goal is done, it is a win. And sometimes we don't do this enough. Sometimes we don't celebrate the small wins. We look forward to all of the big wins. And when the small wins come, they just kind of, oh, yeah, cool, that was done. Check it off the list and you keep moving. No, when you set up a goal that was 6 months long and you just brush over it, you're shooting yourself. Because a win is truly a win. If it's a big goal, you got it done, man, you able to celebrate, you ready to run, tell everybody and their mama about it. But sometimes that small goal doesn't get that much attention. But we have to find ways to celebrate even those small goals. Even if it's a I went and got myself ice cream. We finished this goal together. Let's go get ice cream. You might say, ice cream? It doesn't make sense but you accomplished something. And so what it does is it's a positive reinforcement that getting these goals accomplished makes sense. And there's something to celebrate. Celebrate with others. When you get that job, when you get that promotion, when you get that new job, there's a reason to celebrate. When you get that first paycheck on a new job, there's a reason to celebrate. Now, some of these celebrations we're going to have to do on our own because let's be honest, some of those small wins, you're like, whoa, we got it done. All right, keep moving, keep moving. That's to keep you motivated. But when it comes to the job hunt, when you finally get to that interview stage, whoa, get excited about it because that leads you in the right direction. Keep yourself going forward. So when at the end, you can celebrate for that new job. You can celebrate about having that new, multiple or paychecks or something along those lines. Make sure that you are taking the time to celebrate and do it with others. I know many of us like birthday parties or like celebrating birthday parties with others, even if it's just to catch up and break bread with them, right? We like to celebrate with others. And it encourages us to keep winning, to keep learning, to keep moving forward in what we're doing and what we're accomplishing. And I know when it comes to goal setting, it might not always make the most sense in us trying to find a job. But I promise you, if you set up your goals in your approach, in the process of how you're going to find the job, if you're doing it, you will be the most effective in it. Because it's required. There has to be a process. Because if you're just gonna, I'm gonna just apply for all these jobs under the sun, and that's it, you probably won't get too many interviews. I'm just going to be very transparent. If all your goals is applying for all these jobs under the sun, and that's it, you're going to be sadly mistaken. There's some stuff that you can be doing. And that's all part of the goal setting process and making sure that you are aligning, getting skills, getting all those things in this process. And let's win. Let's keep on winning. All right, so let's wrap it up. Today we talked about goals. We hit on a little bit about your personal goals. That wasn't our focus. Our focus was the professional goals. We talked about those long-term goals. So anything 3 years and beyond. I like to set those parameters of 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, those long-term goals that we're looking at accomplishing. Then we have short-term goals. Those short-term goals, no more than 2 years. Anything below that, 6 months to 2 years in that time frame is good. Sometimes things less than 6 months are more so tasks. That's okay. They can still be goals that you put down. It is necessary that you have a vision. Know where you're trying to get to. Know what you're trying to accomplish. Know where you're going. Because without a vision, how can you move forward? How can you share with others if there's no vision? Where are you trying to get to in your career? Focus on your professional goals. What do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What am I trying to accomplish? What is the job? What is the dream job that is for me, that is in line for me, that I'm trying to get to? Take the time to develop SMART goals. Be specific. Make sure that they're measurable. Make sure that they're achievable. Make sure they're relevant to the vision that you have, and make sure that there are some time constraints on it. We don't want to waste time anymore trying to set up goals and not really knowing, we set our goal and it's more of a checkbox than has some meat on the bones. Give me a goal with some meat on the bones and other people can help you with that goal. But if you don't even know what you're doing, how you're measuring it, if it's specific to what you're trying to do, if you're not being able to measure it, you're probably going to lose that goal. So think about the goal as you're establishing it. Think about that goal before you get to that endpoint and set it properly. Keep track of your goals. Keep track of your process. Write it down somewhere. Create your to-do list. Understand what goals are the priority, what goals need to be urgently done. Put it all together so that you can understand and get the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish in it. overcome your obstacles. We dealt with a lot of obstacles that we come with, whether it's people that we're dealing with, whether it's setbacks, big or small, whether it's ourselves in procrastination and fearing failure. Let us overcome them. Acknowledge that you're afraid at times. Overcome it. Keep going. If you fail, pick yourself up, move forward, learn something from it, and keep going. Keep going, keep going. And don't forget to celebrate your wins. No matter what's going on in your life with the things that you are trying to accomplish, the goals that you are setting for your profession, celebrate when you're winning. Celebrate them big and small. You've accomplished, you filled out 15 applications and had 2 conversations with people, celebrate it. It's worth it. You completed 100 applications, celebrate it. You completed 1 application, celebrate it. It is important that you celebrate it in such a way that you are motivated to keep on going. Goal setting is important in both your personal life as well as your professional life. Setting up the milestones that you need to accomplish to get to that final vision that you have been looking at, that has been a part of you, is important. And I can promise you that if you take the time to truly set up your goals, truly walk out your goals, truly understand the vision that you have, that these goals are set up around, that when you accomplish it, others will notice as well. You'll overcome those setbacks. You'll overcome those obstacles that you've been faced with more diligently, more quickly, because you've taken the time to get the full vision. You've taken the time to get clarity in it, and you set up a roadmap for you to follow to get to that final goal. I want you all to be successful in finding those jobs. And if you're not trying to find a job, but you're trying to advance in your job, see what you can be doing in your goal setting to move forward in that as well. As always, you all know I'm available all the time. As mentioned, I am Andre Powell. You can find me at ampspeaks.com/coaching for some coaching opportunities. If you want to coach for a half an hour, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at That Guy Amped on all social media platforms. Feel free to email me at info@ampspeaks.com, or you can shoot me a text message. The number is on board. I hope that you all were able to get something out of this goal setting series or session, and you're able to apply it to what you're doing in your life. I truly want you to be successful in your professions, in the dream that you have been made for. So make sure that you check out this one, share it with other people that you think might benefit from the goal setting session, and make sure that you tune in next month because we're coming up with a new session. I'm excited about it. I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm holding it to myself. I'm going to let y'all come and enjoy the next session with me. And if you haven't seen the resume writing one, go back and check that one out. If you haven't seen the Competent Communicator version 2, go check that one out, or the version 1. They will help you in your better speaking opportunities in public speaking arenas. We want you to win. That's what it's about. We want you to be successful in all the things that you're doing and truly live an amped life in it. Until next time, I'm Andre Powell. God bless you.